Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out Really Dicey. This is Manny.
And I'm Matt. And today we're looking at Kickstarter to find some projects that you might be interested in. It's December 2021. And what do you got for us, Manny?
My first recommendation is Vaesen RPG, Mythic Britain and Ireland by Free League Publishing. First reason why is because this is the sequel to Vaesen Nordic Horror RPG, which is a phenomenal game. Free League's variation of the Mutant Year Zero rule system is a perfect fit. The art and design is fantastic. Second reason is that this takes place in Britain and Ireland. You now have monsters and stories influenced by Mary Shelley, Arthur Conan Doyle, and Bram Stoker. You get information about the British Society, new locations to have your adventures, including London. And third, and definitely not the least reason to check out this Kickstarter, is that Graham Davis is writing these books. Graham Davis is a legend in Warhammer gaming, writing many of the popular grimdark tales for Warhammer Fantasy RPG since its first edition days. Plus, you have the same artist behind this project as well. And if you want to see our interview with him, I'll put it in the description below. So Matt, what do you have for us now?
So, Manny, that when I'm doing these Kickstarters, I often wrap up my list with some dice because I really like dice. So this month I'm doing something totally different, and I'm putting the dice at the beginning of my list.
Oh, really? Okay.
So these are called roaming dice. They're a lovely set of or several sets of beautiful underwater themed dice. So these have they're translucent. They've got the deep, rich colors. They're sharp edge dice. So they've got the straight edges as opposed to the rounded edges that you sometimes see. And they're very legible because, as I'm always saying, legibility is really important. So check these out. There are some lovely looking dice.
For my next one, Tome of Wondrous Items for 5th edition by Necromancer Games. Necromancer Games and Frog God Games tend to put out some really interesting modules. We met them at TotalCon a few years ago, and I've always been impressed by what they put together. So this book has nearly 600 new magic items, spells, monsters, mystical tattoos. There's resources now to do like a creative game mastery, and they have all sorts of different things from like a brain jar or a ring of smoke worm or a terrifying rod of necromancy, a scepter of the heavens. They have some really interesting ideas they put into this book. So being that it's from Necromancer Games, I'm willing to check this out.
Next on my list, I have a smaller game called Webworld. This is a rules light game about a post-apocalyptic Earth that has been conquered by giant spiders. So these giant spiders show up. No one's quite sure where they came from, and they kill everybody. And they've encased the surface of the world in their webs everywhere. All the buildings, all the cities, everything's covered with webs. And the few people who survive have to just kind of sneak around from building to building and across these webs and everything. So it sounds really interesting. One thing that really caught my attention was not only was it rules light, it's described as combat free. And I got to say, I'm really intrigued. I don't know what they mean by that. Well, I mean, I know what combat free means, but I don't know how they deal with that.
Work.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. They don't really explain it too well. They talk about the system, which is really interesting. And they talk about the fact that stealth is really important. So what they may be getting at is that the spiders are just too powerful to fight. And so stealth is very important. You've got to avoid them. They do talk about the world is very deadly. So there's definitely danger involved. Maybe the danger is so great that combat's just not an option. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how that works. One thing I liked about the rule system is they have this idea where your character has a skill pool of dice that they use to do things, and that skill pool is also your hit points. So if you exhaust yourself trying things, you'll just literally fall over. You could try so hard that you just collapse. So it looked like a really intriguing book and worth checking out.
Well, my next one is a little unusual for my style. It's called Salvage Union by Leyline Press. It is a post-apocalyptic mech RPG. Now, there's two reasons why I picked this out. One, the art for this is lovely. I can't pinpoint it what it reminds me of. It's not anime. Maybe it's a bit European. Maybe it reminds me of something I've seen before in heavy metal
It
magazine.
looks a lot like The Loop.
A little bit, yes. But the design for their vehicles just really stood out to me. I was very amazed at how this was designed and put together and drawn.
Mm-hmm.
But the second reason is because these are the same people behind this.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So this little book is it's about cats. You play cats that have superpowers, and
Cool.
I haven't had a chance to find the right group to play this with. But we talked about this outside of Really Dicey, and talked about like this is a really cool, fun idea. It's just a little zine, and it's looks a lot of fun to try. But it's the same people, so it's right. The fact that it's the same creators behind it, I'm excited to see what they do with it. It uses the Quest RPG system, which I'm not familiar with, but just for the art and knowing what they put out before, I'm willing to give this a shot.
I I looked at that one. If correct me if I'm wrong or edit me out. But I believe the page had like a quick start for the rule, so you can kind of check it out.
For this, yes. So if you're not, I'm not too sure, but I haven't looked through it yet, so I'm not sure what the Quest RPG system is like. I have no clue what dice they use or if they use dice. But yes, there is a downloadable quick start guide to check out. Definitely.
Yeah, I really appreciate that in Kickstarters, because I mean you're going into these things blind, and the majority of the cases the product doesn't even exist yet. So
yeah,
it's nice if they have these little links to help you out and see things. Indeed. So the last thing on my list, and the thing I'm really excited about, it's kind of like your drawings that drew you the Salvage Union. This is called hand-drawn maps, and that's exactly what it is. It is a PDF of 5 hand-drawn maps. They are absolutely beautiful. They're very evocative, very old school. Not only you get the maps, you get some adventure seeds, and you get some random treasures and some trap tables, and they're just great. I love maps. I also am unfortunately terrible at drawing maps, so all my maps look really dumb. So I'm always happy to have something like this. And this is really neat, especially for Kickstarter. This is incredibly affordable. You get a PDF of 5 hand-drawn maps for €1. So go to your bank and get €1 and and send it off to these, and you'll get your hand-drawn maps next month. I mean, it's practically like shopping, right? You don't have to wait until 2 years down the road to get your product. You'll get your product, barring act of God, in January of next year, which is great. I'm gonna buy me a map right after we're done here.
Well, if you want, the holidays are coming upon us. What are you getting for as a gift? Let us know in the comments below. Feel free to share with us. Is there anything we missed, crowdfunding wise, a project that we should have highlighted? Let us know in the comments as well. So yes, if you don't hear from us, happy holidays. We'll see you next year.